I thought marrying the man my father chose would make me forget the boy who wrote me letters. Yet even now, years later, I can't escape the memories of Neo, the boy who disappeared when I needed him most. I was an only child, living in a house full of chaos. My parents fought constantly about money, family, things that didn't even matter. It became a routine. Everyone knew. Friends would ask, "Are you okay? Why are your parents always yelling?" And every time I had no answer. It was embarrassing, so I withdrew from everyone. Slowly I stopped talking, stopped going out. It was easier to be alone than to face the whispers. Then one day I heard about the Pen Pal Club. It promised a break from the modern world. No screens, no texting, just letters. Something about it seemed perfect. It felt like a way to escape my reality, a place where no one knew about my broken home. That's where I found Neo. He was my age, and from our very first letter, it felt like we had known each other forever. We made one promise. Until we met in person, we wouldn't reveal our real names or faces. Through our letters, I wasn't the girl from the troubled home. I was just me, Nikki. Neo's letters were my refuge. When the shouting at home got too loud, his words brought me peace. I was falling for him. With each letter, my feelings for him grew deeper, even though I had never seen his face. We shared our dreams, our fears, and our future plans. It was a connection that went beyond friendship. I was in love. After years of exchanging letters, I finally asked him if we could meet. I was terrified, but I couldn't keep pretending that I didn't want more. To my relief, he agreed. We set a date, a time, and a place. I waited for hours, but he never came. My heart broke. I wrote to him, pouring out my feelings. I told him I loved him and that I wanted to see him. But no reply came. Days turned into weeks. I wrote again, apologizing. Maybe I had crossed a line, ruined what we had by confessing my love. Maybe he only wanted friendship, and my feelings had scared him away. I thought I had lost him forever. Meanwhile, my parents got divorced. My mom quickly remarried, and with that, everything changed. I had to move with my father to a faraway village, leaving behind the life I knew and the only connection I had to Neo. I thought maybe the distance would help me forget, but instead, it only deepened the emptiness I felt. Finally, I wrote him one last letter. In it, I told him I was done waiting. I was going to marry the man my father chose for me, and I told him not to write back anymore. I thought it would help me move on, to make it final. I loved him, but I believed he had forgotten me. Years passed, and eventually my father did choose a man for me to marry. At first, he wasn't bad to me, but we lived in two different worlds. He never talked openly with me, and I could tell something was bothering him, but I never dared to ask. There was no love between us. I spent my days thinking about Neo, wondering what had gone wrong, and blaming myself for loving him. Months passed, and the silence between my husband and me grew colder. My husband was distant, angry all the time. One night, everything exploded. I had made dinner, and as soon as he tasted it, he lashed out. "This is too salty. You can't even cook a simple meal right." His voice was so harsh, his anger sharper than I had ever seen before. I couldn't stop crying. And then, in a voice colder than ever, he told me, "You should leave. We can't be together anymore." I left. I went to the train station, tears streaming down my face, wondering how my life had come to this. I thought about Neo, about the letters I had written, and the love that had ruined everything. Just as the train was about to arrive, I heard someone running toward me. A hand grabbed mine. I looked up, startled, and there he was, my husband standing in front of me. Without a word, he handed me a piece of paper. My heart stopped when I saw it. It was the last letter I had sent to Neo, the one where I told him not to write back. But how could he have this? I looked at him, confused, my hands trembling. "Nikki," he whispered, his voice breaking, "I love you." In that moment, everything fell into place. I stared into his eyes and I knew. My husband was Neo. Tears filled my eyes as I whispered, You're Neo?" He nodded, and in that moment, everything changed. We hugged, not as a distant husband and wife, but as lovers finally reunited after years of longing. All the weight of the past melted away. For the first time in years, I felt whole again. If you want to know how Neo found my letter, make sure to watch our previous story.